Today we explore the effects of doneness on grilled steak eating quality. Welcome to Canadian Beef TV. We're here to answer your top questions to help you have the best Canadian beef experience.
Our question today, how does the doneness of a grilled steak affect the overall eating quality and palatability? We first want to understand what people at home know about doneness. Can they identify the inside of a steak and compare that to, say, a descriptor like medium rare? Do they know about temperatures? So to find out, we actually conducted surveys and we found, generally speaking, that folks at home can in fact pair up the inside of a steak when seeing an image of it with the doneness descriptor. So you see the inside of a medium rare steak, match that up to the word medium rare, and we found that that is generally done fairly accurately by people at home.
Getting the doneness right is super important, whether you're eating at home or eating at the restaurant. So to find out more about doneness and the effect on eating quality of the steak, we're going to go to Lacombe and find out what the researchers say.
Hi, Matthew and Cameron. A pleasure as always to see you. Our research has revealed some exciting information about steak doneness and eating quality. We grilled 12 strip-loin steaks to each level on doneness, including medium rare, medium well, and well done. We recorded data on cooking time, moisture, and fat loss, as well as tenderness as measured by a Searforce test. As one could obviously expect, the less than a steak is cooked, the less time is required to cook it, and the relationship appears to be linear. We also found that moisture content in steaks cooked to medium rare was slightly higher than steaks cooked to medium, and significantly higher than steaks cooked to medium well or well done. This also applied to the Searforce test, which reported a decrease in steak tenderness as steaks were cooked to temperatures above medium rare. The panelists did not detect a significant increase in tenderness among medium rare steaks. However, they did report a significant increase in juiciness compared to steaks cooked to higher temperatures. We believe that this increase in juiciness is due to greater moisture retention observed in steaks cooked to medium rare. The panelists found that beef flavor intensity and overall palatability was not significantly impacted by degree of doneness. Therefore, if consumers wish to maximize steak juiciness, I recommend that they cook them closer to medium rare. Otherwise, this research suggests consumers simply cook their steaks to decide doneness for best enjoyment.
Dr. Prieto, earlier you mentioned a shear force test. Could you explain that a little bit more for our audience?
Of course, a Searforce test uses a mechanical device to test the force of resistance in an object. We use this method to determine relative tenderness of various beef products. The greater the force of resistance, the lower the tenderness.
Dr. Prieto, we know that marbling is an important part of the Canadian beef steak experience. That fat lends to flavor, juiciness, and tenderness. Did the effect of cooking or the doneness of those steaks have an effect on the fat content?
In fact, we found no significant difference in fat content of steaks cooked to any degree of doneness.
I've got a question for Canada Beef's Corinne Rakunik, Director of Health and Nutrition.
Corinne, I've heard that doneness has an effect on the nutritional quality of a steak. Is that true?
Hey Matthew and Cameron, thanks for another great question. So when you cook a beef product on something like a grill, there could be nutrient changes if you are significantly overcooking that product, like I'm talking beyond well done. At levels that the average person would be eating their steak, for example, medium rare, even to well done, we wouldn't expect to see any kind of significant changes in the nutrient content or quality. The levels at which that might change would significantly affect the quality, so it really isn't so much of a practical concern. I like to say enjoy your beef to the degree of doneness that you enjoy, and just know that you are going to be getting a nutrient-rich protein choice every time you choose beef. and the totality of your diet is going to matter much more than the degree of doneness that you're choosing for that product at any one meal.
So from what we've gathered from the sensory panelists at Lacombe, we know that Canadian beef delivers at any temperature, whether you like it cooked medium rare, medium, or beyond. It delivers with its texture, so its tenderness, and also its flavor. But what about juiciness? That's pretty important too.
I think juiciness is super important, and we know from our surveys that 64% of people find juiciness to be very important to their steak eating experience. It also seems like from the research that has to do with moisture retention, so I've got an idea. Let's try and cook some steaks with the reverse sear method, because that seems like kind of a subtle, sort of gentle way to cook steaks, and I think we're gonna end up having more moisture retention if we use that method.
Great idea, Cameron. I love to reverse sear. Essentially, taking the steak or roast and cooking it slowly and gently first, so that later we can apply a little bit of high heat and just either grill or sear or brown it in a pan. And it's a great technique that works excellent for a larger cut steak or roasts.
Well, we've got some beautiful AAA Canadian beef strip loins here, so let's get them seasoned and get them cooking. At this point in the reverse sear process, we've got our steaks out of the oven. We cook them at low temp, about 275 degrees Fahrenheit, and we've brought them up to temperature so that then we can finish them in the pan and get those grill marks on there. We just have one last little step in the process. We're just gonna add a touch of oil to the outside. That's just gonna help us get that nice sear, those nice grill marks on the outside of each steak.
We've got a nice hot grill pan here. Makes it possible for us to grill indoors in the winter. I love this. Just gonna set that down. Make sure you get nice contact to the grill pan. That's gonna help you get those beautiful grill marks. Whether indoors or out, super important to have that look on your steak. Let's see what kind of marks we got here. I'm gonna give the steak a flip. There we go.
Nice looking steak right there.
Pretty good, eh? So with reverse searing, we've already achieved our desired doneness in our slow cook in the oven. At this point, we're just putting on a little extra color, a little bit of that browning or that sear. Beautiful.
That sear is so important for flavor development, caramelization, and also it's gonna look amazing when we have those grill marks nice on that steak.
It's always good to just put a little bit of sear on the outside edges, especially when you're just touching it to the grill here.
That's key for steaks like strip loin that have that exterior fat around the edges. We can render that down a little bit. It becomes golden and crispy, and it's absolutely delicious. We weighed our steaks before, and now we're about to weigh them after the cooking process because we want to find out just how much moisture was lost in that cooking on these steaks. Most of these steaks were actually about 1 pound or 454 grams to start with, so $3.99. That's a pretty good finish. We're going to measure the cooking loss as an average amongst all 4 steaks, and we're going to measure that compared to the research done at Lacombe to find out if this cooking method retains more or less moisture than their results.
So Cameron, tell us about our results.
With these steaks and our cooking method, that reverse sear, these steaks had less cooking loss than the steaks at Lacombe. So that's going to mean they retain even more moisture, and we can expect that that's going to mean an even juicier steak. So it's actually a good option for people who want to cook their steaks to a higher doneness, but increase the juiciness of that eating experience.
Well, that sounds like a win to me, Cameron.
Okay, but other than cooking method, is there anything we can recommend to our audience at home for getting a juicier eating experience?
If you want a more juicy eating experience, and particularly if you want your steak cooked beyond medium or into medium well, I'll always recommend maybe even just a drizzle of olive oil, a chimichurri, some kind of sauce, or a compound butter to melt over top of the steak. That's gonna add more juiciness.
Thank you for joining us at Canadian Beef TV. For more culinary videos or information on recipes and nutrition, check out the Canadian Beef Information Gateway.
I think we're gonna have to try the results.
I'm excited, let's do it.
That's good. So juicy.